Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. Alex Pereira just got brutally KO'd by Israel Adesanya in their rematch fight at UFC 287. Let me tell you guys what's next for Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira trains out of Connecticut, and I am a Connecticut native myself, so I'm genuinely a huge Alex Pereira fan, and man, was I somewhat devastated watching him getting knocked out by Israel Adesanya. But let me tell you guys, Israel Adesanya is so intelligent. Going into their first MMA fight, I was extremely confident that Alex Pereira would get the job done. He's a guy who has more recent kickboxing record. Not only that, he has better kickboxers in his gym, and he's just genuinely better on the feet. That was kind of my perception going into the first fight, but after how the first fight unfolded, I was significantly less confident in Alex Pereira going into the second fight because there was a very clear path of victory for Israel Adesanya, and Israel Adesanya took it. A lot of people said, Israel Adesanya is going to grapple even more in this second MMA fight. And I genuinely think that is where Alex Pereira went wrong in his training camp. To me, he trained way too much in the grappling realm. All I heard from Glover Teixeira was, oh man, Alex Pereira is putting on so much lean muscle because of how much we've been training grappling after that first Israel Adesanya fight, when in reality, Israel Adesanya probably watched back that first MMA fight and said, man, my path of victory is boxing. He's going to win the kickboxing game. He's a better kicker. He's a better leg kicker. He's a better kicker to the head as well. I need to get an inside boxing range. I need to be willing to exchange within the pocket because I'm going to win those exchanges. I have better head movement than Alex Pereira. I have a better guard, and I'm just a better defensive striker than Alex Pereira, and I'm a better counter striker than Alex Poatan Pereira, and that's exactly how the second fight played out. Now, do I think Israel Adesanya has some validity to him saying he played possum up against the fence in order to get that counter shot right, that same right hand that he landed on Alex Pereira in the first fight at the end of the first round? Do I think there's some validity to that? Yes, I do. At the same time, I do think Israel Adesanya was pretty significantly hurt to the legs already, even though he was dancing around on his legs after the fight. He does have an extremely good poker face, but Alex Pereira, again, he really needs to refine his technical boxing ability and, more importantly, his defensive striking. He leaves his head wide open. His head movement is not great, and when he does move his head, it's a bit telegraphed, honestly. But all in all, I do expect Alex Pereira's defensive boxing and just boxing in general to improve. He's still extremely young to MMA striking, and MMA striking is significantly different than kickboxing at the end of the day. So what's next for Alex Pereira? I think a lot of Alex Pereira fans are extremely annoyed that this Israel Adesanya trilogy has been completely swept under the rug, and everybody, including Israel Adesanya and Dana White, saying, yeah, we're not going to really make the trilogy. Let's see Alex Pereira get some wins. And while I kind of disagree in the sense of I do want to see a trilogy, and I think a trilogy is extremely intriguing because Alex Pereira was looking really good in that second fight. He was winning the second round, and the first round was extremely close. I would have given that to Israel Adesanya, and so did all three judges on the judges' scorecard. I do want to see this rematch later down in the road, but just as an Alex Pereira fan, I don't want his entire career to revolve around Israel Adesanya. I do genuinely think it will be healthy for his career to face a couple of other opponents, then face Israel Adesanya, or just get a big win streak and kind of create your own legacy. Who cares about Israel Adesanya? So again, I would like to see those guys rematch, but let me tell you guys what I think should be next for Alex Pereira. Izzy's knocked some guys out cold, but never to the extent that Alex Pereira was knocked out with. And I do think that weight cut does have a part of the issue in terms of how he got knocked out that brutally. So I would like to see him move up to 205, but let's ease him into the top 5. I don't want to see him face a guy like Jan Blachowicz, who, let's be completely honest here, outboxed and out-techniqued in the boxing realm Israel Adesanya. So if Jan Blachowicz out-techniques Israel Adesanya with boxing, Alex Pereira is probably going to get knocked out by Jan Blachowicz. That's just my opinion. Don't kill me for that, guys. So in my opinion, I would either like to see him fight Jamal Hill if Jamal Hill loses the title, but assuming Jamal Hill does win the title, or let's say he gets a title rematch if he loses it, let's see him face Johnny Walker, a guy who's going to start to give him some issues in the grappling realm. Again, like I alluded to, Alex Pereira is really focusing on grappling at the moment. Let's face him up against a guy who's not a wrestler, who's not going to be some dominant guy who's going to take him on the ground immediately, but let's face him against a guy who does have a bit of a threat on the ground, that has really good jiu-jitsu, but does want to stand and bang. And to me, this is perfect with Johnny Walker. I know Johnny Walker is about to have a fight. Win or lose, preferably he wins this fight. And if he does win this fight, him versus Alex Pereira would be a perfect matchup. The second matchup I would really love to see would be Paulo Costa at 205. Paulo Costa was very rumored to face Khamzat Chimaev, but now Khamzat Chimaev looks poised for a title shot up against Israel Adesanya. So let's move both of these guys, both of which struggle to make 185. Obviously, Paulo Costa has a bit more of an issue making 185, considering that he has missed weight before, and Alex Pereira has really never missed weight, even dating back to his kickboxing days. But move these guys both up to 205, get them established into the division. Whoever wins gets a spot in the top 15 at 205, and whoever loses moves back to 185. I like that idea. The last guy I think would be a solid opponent for Alex Pereira would be Dominick Reyes, a guy who is at the bottom of the top 15 at this point. Let's be completely honest here. It's a smart matchmaking move to have guys build their name off of old stars, and that is what you would do with Alex Pereira. Obviously, he's not the youngest guy in the world, but let's get him some solid footing into the 205 division, and let's have him face a guy who once was a very good striker, Dominick Reyes, a guy who, again, is a good kickboxer and went toe-to-toe with Jon Jones, one of the best martial artists in the history of the sport. That's what I would love to see. You can advertise it as Jon Jones' toughest fight of his entire career was up against Dominick Reyes, and now he's going to be facing Alex Pereira. I love that narrative, and if he beats Dominick Reyes, then Alex Pereira will have a win over a guy who arguably beat Jon Jones, which in my opinion would entice Israel Adesanya to fight Alex Pereira at 205, considering Israel Adesanya and Jon Jones' long-standing beef. So Alex Pereira could hang over Israel Adesanya's head. Hey, I have a win at 205 and you don't. I've beat someone who arguably beat Jon Jones and you haven't. So this makes for a perfect setup for that trilogy fight. Can't wait to see Alex Pereira back in that octagon. I'm a big fan of Alex Pereira, and I hope he really recovers from that brutal knockout.